Hey guys, Kinoflex here, back with another review. Today I'm going to talk about the animated Roald Dahl film adaptation of the book of the same name, The Twits, because it was pretty bad and would be the worst animated film of the year for me if Sneaks didn't exist. Despite his stories being widely well known and popular, an ongoing controversy with the company who owned the publishing rights to Roald Dahl's books is that they are censoring his stories in newer releases despite him explicitly saying that he didn't want a single comma changed. This resulted in a backlash, where pretty much everyone said that what they were doing was stupid and disrespectful to his legacy, so they caved to public pressure by releasing classic versions alongside the censored versions. You'd think that the people over at Netflix would take that as a hint that if they're going to adapt a Roald Dahl story into a film, they should try to be as faithful as they can, but instead they did the exact opposite, by scrapping pretty much most of the original story, while keeping some of the characters. There's an excellent audiobook available on YouTube for those of you who want instant access to the original story, so I'm not going to go into too much detail into what the plot for it was, but to keep the premise brief, it's all about communicating that you shouldn't go out of your way to be an asshole because what goes around comes around. This is shown through Mr. and Mrs. Twit being bad people, only to meet their demise through their own malice and stupidity. The new movie though just repeatedly takes their evil actions to an exaggerated and extreme degree out in the open, where they just don't suffer any consequences for no reason at all until the very end. The film starts with them opening their own amusement park only to quickly get shut down because of various health and safety violations. But instead of working to fix those health and safety violations, their response is to launch a terrorist attack by flooding their city using a water tower with liquid hot dog meat put into the water supply. Then the film tries to make it into what appears to be a gun control analogy, with the mayor of the city, John, voiced by the guy who also voiced Rex Blow from Invincible, being an uncaring politician who says thoughts and prayers unconvincingly in response to the terrorist attack. Nothing about this character makes any sense conceptually, because he simultaneously doesn't care about the terrorist attack, while also running on holding the people who committed the attack accountable for re-election, which upsets the Twits. It feels like the only reason this character exists is to say Christianity bad, because otherwise what else is this character supposed to do? Ban liquid hot dog meat trucks? It's just a very poorly thought out attempt at political commentary, and unfortunately, it doesn't stop here. Besides the Twits, the other main characters are two orphans named Nisha and Bubsy, who are both original characters who did not appear in the original story. Bubsy's motivation is that he wants to be adopted by a family, which was prevented from happening because the people who were supposed to adopt him pulled out as they assumed he was contaminated from the poisoned water supply, despite having no evidence to conclude that. Bisha, on the other hand, has no actual character whatsoever besides being sad that she's an orphan and occasionally going, "That's weird," or "That's bad, so don't do that at home, fellow kids," despite obviously being voiced by an adult. Both of them spot the Twits stealing another liquid hot dog truck and decide to follow them to their abandoned amusement park. They make a comment about how it's weird that the police haven't caught them yet, while proceeding to not contact the police and confront the Twits directly for no reason. After meeting the Twits and having it explained to them directly that they were responsible for the terrorist attack, again for no real reason, the orphans meet some exotic monkeys the Twits captured called the Mugglewumps, who they are able to understand because they're so empathetic, and decide to help them, where they proceed to get the Twits arrested for going to the police. I still don't understand why they didn't just do that at the very beginning, but whatever. But even though the Twits were arrested, the police for some reason refused to do anything about the captured Mugglewumps, so it somehow becomes the orphans' responsibility. But besides that small detail, you'd think that the movie would be over since the Twits are in prison now, right? Well, you'd be wrong, since there's still more than an hour left in the movie. This is because they're bailed out of prison by Jared Fogle and his wife because they want them to launch their own mayoral campaign to make their town great again. That's right, the movie is all about how if you don't vote the right way, you're an idiot who is easily misled. What is voting the right way, you ask? Simple. Don't believe in lies. What a genius message. I doubt anyone has ever thought of that before. The film tries to promote what some would consider an anti-populism message and how it's a danger to democracy. But the problem with most stories with anti-populist messaging nowadays is that it just ends up being unintentionally anti-democracy because it tells people that democracy is simply a list of priorities politicians want to do, with voters occasionally being allowed to decide what the better option is. And populism being voters not wanting any of those things to instead support a candidate doing what they actually want. I'm all for candidates not being idiots and grifters, but we need to understand that politics isn't simply voting to fix problems or make them worse. It's using the available information we have to try and fix problems that don't come with the correct answers readily available. Some information tends to conflict with other information, and our differing values push us towards approaching situations in one way and not another. If all you can say about an opposing side is that they are stupid and misinformed, then that just goes to show that you've never engaged with them or have heard their explanations as to why they vote in the way they do, which is actually the reason why politics feels like it's gotten worse, since no one is actually talking or listening to each other anymore. Anyway, since the Twits were released from prison, they run into the orphans who by that point have freed the Mugglewumps. They can't get them back because the orphans keep outsmarting them, so they instead try becoming the mayor in a debate by telling everyone that the Mugglewumps would make the city great again if they took them back from the orphans to make them slaves. Bisha crashes the debate to point out that the Twits are terrorists, but nobody in attendance cares. Then the Twits hospitalize Mayor John in an assassination attempt live on television by poisoning him with a cake that causes him to shit himself.
Oh, I feel like something's going on. A vote for John is a vote for fun!
This allows them both to become mayor, even though mayoral elections don't work like that. Then the film just becomes them attempting to take back the Mugglewumps a couple times, only to fail and be abandoned by their supporters because they realize that the Twits are twats. Then they get tricked by the orphans into thinking they're upside down, which causes them to glue their heads to the floor, where the orphans leave them for dead. Now, surely this must be the end, right? Because the conflict is literally over and this is how the book ended. But no, the film goes on for another 10 minutes because the orphans have second thoughts about leaving the Twits for dead because it's unempathetic. So they go back and free them, only for the Twits to try and kill them. This begs the same question towards the beginning. Why did you need to do that yourselves? Why couldn't the police do it instead and arrest them? You would still get the same outcome and only lose out on endangering yourselves. Then the film ends with the orphans living with the Mugglewumps and the Twits dying anyway by getting eaten by a giant frog. This was pure garbage from start to finish. None of the clever writing from Roald Dahl is anywhere to be found. The characters aren't likable or compelling. The music sequences are unbearable. The narration in the form of the fleas and Mr. Twit's beard is terrible. It goes on for too long. And the wisdom it tries to impart on the audience is incoherent. Part of the reason the film is so frustrating for me is that there is a blueprint available for the filmmakers to adapt in the form of the original short story, and Wes Anderson showed how to tell a Roald Dahl story properly with both his film The Fantastic Mr. Fox and his 4 short films adapting Dahl's short stories, which remains to this day one of the best on-screen adaptations I've seen. It successfully captures the feeling of reading a Dahl story while showcasing almost the exact imagery one would visualize in their head when reading them. I highly recommend it and encourage you guys to check it out. But hey, those are just my thoughts. And if you have any of your own, feel free to flex them off in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.